some of the grammar topics, especially any of the competitive exam. If you take, especially you can see some of the grammar topics and how these grammar topics will come. They'll be asking in the form of common errors. There will be some error in the sentence. It can be error on tense. It can be error on SVA, that is nothing but subject verb agreement, or any kind of a error in the sentence, or it may be a direct question like phrasal verb. So you can just see a glance of all grammar topics, then you can go for any kind of a competitive exam. It may be a gate exam, it may be IELTS, TOEFL, GRE, any kind of a competitive language exam. Okay, you can get any kind of a grammar topics. And how these topics will be covered, it will be in the form of common errors. Okay, so now we are going to see some of the grammar topics, how you can uniquely find out the error in the sentence, how you can equip yourself on the grammar topics, because this is not a new thing for you. Already you would have studied this in your first year. So now we are just going to recap those rules and regulations in the grammar, some of the grammar topics, and I'm just going to tell you how you can find error in the grammar topics. Okay, so let's go for the class. So, what is a grammar? So, first you must, because we all have this particular thing in our mind, because grammar means boring. Grammar means it will have more rules and regulations. So, I don't know why I should learn all these rules and regulations. We all have this humbug ideas in our mind. See, grammar is actually a beautiful thing because in English is a language, it is a universal language. These grammar rules will be very easy comparatively any of the mother tongue. If for example, if you take Tamil, no, Tamil grammar will be so tough, but we feel that since it is our mother language, we feel it is very easy. But English grammar comparatively, it is very very easy. So English grammar will be having some of the rules and regulations, and it will be having the exceptional cases. Only that exceptional cases you will find which very difficult to analyze and understand and remember, but it is going to be the lifelong learning for you. Okay, if you once learned it, the full grammar, for example, if SVA is having totally 25 main rules and regulations with exceptionals, if you have learned those things, no, it is a lifelong learning. You can just remember this. You will not commit mistake in your spoken English, your written English. Even you can teach your children, you can teach anybody that, because you being a professionalist, you must to know the basic grammar rules. Okay, definitely it is going to help your career, your academics, etc., etc. Okay, so first see what it is in the introduction. So which came first, language or grammar? So obviously language came first, and automatically grammar will come beside that, right? Okay, so if you want to master a language, grammar is very very important, because we want to, because all will speak English nowadays in this present competitive world. Everybody can understand and speak English, but as a professional student, how you are going to use that particular universal language, how you are using it, how you are going to use in your career. So that is the main thing. And if you are using with the correct grammar, structural sentences, correct pronunciations, correct vocabulary, technical vocabulary, you feel that proud about yourself that you are a professional student. So that is a thing that grammar is very very important for a professional student. Being an engineering student, grammar is very very important to you, and it is mandatory in all kinds of competitive exam. It may be any kind of a competitive exam. This language paper, this grammar plays a vital role. Okay, so learn the language, automatically you will learn the grammar. See, in spoken English, we used to use a lot of sentences without knowingly, oh, this is the rule of that particular grammar. So that's why we are using like this without knowingly. In spoken English, we have been using so many sentences, good phrases. Okay, we are not a native speaker of English language, but even though, since we have been hearing the language from our childhood, we are using this particular a language correctly in our spoken English. Okay, so first you must learn the language correctly, because it takes hardly 3 months time, and you people are living with technology. You have so many. applications you have in just in your hand. Okay, instead of using your technologies just to warm up your time, you can just develop yourself. Okay, so take use the technology, develop the try to learn more about the language. Now what you know, but I feel I know definitely that all those who are attending this class know everybody can speak a good English, but that is not enough in the present competitive world. You know just an in language, that's all. But you can't proudly say that you can't you can't be the one that you can say that yes, I'm master in the language, I'm well versed in the language. Okay, if I ask in the class, not even one or two will raise their hand, right? Okay, but everybody in the class should raise your hand very bravely that I have mastered the language. I know the correct pronunciation. I know the grammar rules and the exceptional cases. I know I am just mastered the technical vocabulary. So these things very proudly as a professional student, you must say, okay. So that is why this class is going to be the boosted class for you. I'm just going to tell you how you are going to prepare yourself, okay, for the competitive exam. It may be any kind of the exam. Okay, not only for the gate, any kind of the exam. Okay, so how you are going to prepare yourself? I won't say that if you attend this 1 hour, you will be well versed in grammar. It is not like that. I am here just to say how you are going to prepare yourself, how you are going to dust your knowledge now. Okay, because all these things already we have learned in our schoolings, in our college first years, etc., etc. But now what you're going to do, you dust those things, whatever you learned and you just forgot, you feel that you forgot, you are going to dust it again and you are going to remember it lifelong. You are not going to forget it ever. Okay, you are going to learn in such a way that you will not forget it ever, because grammar will be very interesting if you go into it and if you learn. Okay, it is very simple comparatively any other languages. English grammar is actually very very simple. Okay, so learn properly, try to remember it properly. Okay, so learn the long language, automatically you will learn the grammar. See, if you are learning the language, for example, okay, I should phrase the I should frame the sentences. Okay, subject could should come first, followed by the verb, followed by the object, followed by I can use any sentence pattern. So this is a pattern. This is also a kind of a grammar, right? So if you learn the language, you know, automatically you learn the grammar. So have the step a stone. Okay, have a step. At least have a first step to learn the language first. Learn the language effectively. Whatever you learned, no, that is not enough. Now you, as a professional student, you're going to learn the language completely. You're going to well verse it. So from where the grammar rules have come? Grammar rules are subset of logic. Okay, so there will be some logic. So without logic, no, we can't set any grammar rules. So there will not be that definitely there will be a logic. If there is a logic, no, very easily you can remember it, right? So if you understand the logic, okay, because of this logic, I have to use this rule, and this rule is having this exception cases. Okay, that is fine, I can remember it. So try to have the easy going in your mind, that grammar is easy. First have this particular idea in your mind, because all the students have grammar stuff. Bro, grammar is boring. Okay, so don't have such ideas in your mind and try to understand that particular logic. If you once understand that logic, definitely you can learn the grammar rules. Try to remember the grammar rules. Okay, consolidate the grammar rules with the logic. See, without logic you are learning, no, you can't remember it. That is the thing. You have to learn the grammar rules with logic. If you want to remember it lifelong, you have to understand the what is the logic behind that particular rule. Why I have to use this? Why I should not use that? So try to use the particular logic. Okay, so then automatically you can remember it lifelong. So it will be very useful for you for your spoken and written English. Not only that, anybody, any kind of a exam, if you want to attend, you can very easily, by keeping that grammar rule in your mind, you can attend. Okay, so this is the introduction. You can have in your mind that grammar is easy. How you can remember your grammar rule just by having learning the logic beside. Okay, you can have your logic. Okay, understand the logic so that you can very easily understand the grammar rules. Okay, so this is your introduction. So slowly we'll go and understand what is the purpose of studying grammar rules. So how it is going to be helpful for you, okay, to clear competitive exam, not only this particular exam, that particular exam, any kind of a competitive exam. After finishing this BE or BTech, if you want to do your IS studies in abroad, or if you want to become an entrepreneur or anything, okay, this kind of a grammar rules will be helpful for you for attending any kind of exam, or even to test your language skills. Okay, this will be very useful for your spoken English. Okay, so to clear competitive exam, what do we need to do in competitive exam? So what are the things you'll do in competitive exam? Coming to English, there will be a questions on spotting errors in a sentence, that is that sentence correction, uh, and there will be a questions on idioms and phrases, phrasal verbs, because these are the areas students feel very difficult, because idioms and phrases, phrasal verb, there is no any particular logic and rules. Because what students feel, no ma'am, this if error correction we can go and learn, okay, because of this logic, this is because of this rule, I have to apply these rules in the sentences, okay, I can do this. But what students feel, idioms and phrases and phrasal verb is difficult, there is no any grammar in that. Okay, so no grammar. You have to remember the stories behind the idioms, and you have to tick the correct answer. So that is actually very tough. Sorry. Okay, but the thing which is having a set of rules, no, that will be very easy, you can take the classes. Okay, so the what is the third thing, no? So the focal points on errors in English sentences, the main concept of the competitive exam is going to be on error correction. So when you can correct something, if you are well versed in that, right? So if you once you memorize all grammar rules, only you can correct the sentences. You are going to spot this is the area the sentence is having error. For example, if the sentence is having error on tense, if the sentence is having error on subject verb agreement, if you know the rules and regulations, only you can spot the error. Okay, this is a spot that the sentence is having error. The error is on tense, the error is on SVA. So you can correct yourself. Okay, so first learn the grammar rules, then automatically you can spot the errors, because that is a difficult area where students feel. Okay, so this is a purpose that you have to study the grammar rules. Okay, so in the introduction slide we have just seen why this, how you can learn the grammar rules. So if you learn the language, automatically you learn the grammar. So grammar is not boring. So if you learn the grammar with some kind of a logic, definitely you can learn the grammar. Okay, at last consolidate the grammar rules with some kind of a logic. So why you have to learn with logic? If you learn with logic, you can remember it in lifelong. So it is not just for a 2 marks question paper. This is your English is actually is a lifelong learning. Okay, and next we have seen what is a purpose that you have learned the grammar rules. What is a purpose? It's not just to, because in academics English studying grammar rules is just for 2 marks, because in part A you are just going to write the exam for 20 marks. Don't study these grammar rules only for that 20 marks. It is going to be helpful for your lifelong learning. Okay, as a professional student, you must use the correct sentences in your spoken and written languages. Okay, so it is, you are not ordinary student. Being a professional student, you must use the correct language, right? Okay, and one of the basic main question you are going to get in a competitive exam is error spotting. So in error spotting, if you want to spot the error, first you must know the grammar rules. That is a purpose that you have to learn the grammar rules. Okay, we'll go for the next thing. Okay, now we are going to have glance what are the basic grammar rules that you have to, how the sentences will be. The errors will be on the sentence. It will not be, the errors will not be on the words. If it on the words, no, it will be very easy, like some kind of a spelling mistakes. Okay, but the main errors will be in the sentence. If you know what is sentence only, okay, you can analyze, okay, where is the error, then easily you can analyze this and spot the error, and you can find out. Okay, the sentence will have how the sentence will be structured, what is the sentence pattern. Okay, the sentences will have subject, an object, and predicate. So predicate is nothing but you will write no simple sentences. The sentences will have only the subject, verb, and the object. Okay, so the subject, object, predicate, and some of the phrases or some of the clauses. Okay, So you can even frame the sentence with some phrases and clauses. So you know what is called main clause and subordinate clauses. Okay. So all these things definitely it is going to again deal with the grammar. So first we'll know what is the subject, king of the sentence. So whatever may be, it may be a noun, okay, name of a something. So it is actually called as king of the sentence because if subject in a sentence, it will be doing something. So in active voice, subject will be doing something. And what is object? It is considered as queen of the sentence. Okay, because something is done to the object. Okay, so that is why it is called as queen of the sentence. Just to remember you can just remember like this. And what is predicate is nothing but verb and object. So this is what the sentence. Now, why this sentences are very important for you? You are going to spot the error in the sentence. Okay, so that is why you are going to deal with the sentence error. Okay, so you first know sentence pattern. So you have a separate classes for that. What is sentence pattern? How you can write the correct sentences. Okay, so it is actually from words, from sentences, paragraphs, essay. It is actually a technical writing. You can go by step by step. So this is what the sentence will have. A sentence will have a subject, object, and predicate. Now we are going to the topic. So what is our topic is nothing but grammar rules which will have your which you are going to find out the error in the sentence. Where can error come from? So where the error can come from? It can come from the words. Okay, words are nothing but parts of speech. So relation of one word or one set of words with others. Okay. So you know what are the parts of speech in English? So noun, pronoun, verb, adverb, the prepositions. So this is a basic you'd have learned. Okay. But this is a basic you're going to help you, and even you can get error in the words. Okay. But this error in the words is a rare case. In most of the competitive exam, they'll be asking error in the tense, subject verb agreement. They'll be very going very deep into the grammar. Okay. So you have the sample gate question paper. This is a sample gate question paper, CS 2017 question paper. I'll just read the question. Research in the workplace reveals that people work for many reasons. Okay, and you have the options for that. See, as a professional student, it is not because all the competitive exam will have options. And the corporate companies or any of the competitive exam, the person who's going to take the question paper, know how they'll set the question paper. They just want to filter the students. They won't set the question paper easily that student can get the good marks. Okay, they just want to filter the students. So their only idea is they'll be collapsing the students by their options. So they have 4 to 5 options. No, all the 4 options will be suitable for the question. The student must have that particular skill, that how they can get the right answer, how they can just have the right answer in the options. First, you must have read all 4 options, and you must know how to omit the options. First, omit the options. If you have 4 options, no, read the questions carefully. Okay, this is not the question going to deal with the error. Okay, this is a question going to test your analytical skill. This is not, but it is totally related with the grammar only. But the question is not out of the focus. The question is on grammar only, but this is something like going to test your analytical skill. Okay, so always the 4 options are there. Try to analyze and try to omit the 2 options. Always you must have the confusions or whatever it is. No, you must always have between two words, 2 options. Now you have the answer here, but just read the all 4 options. Option A, money beside. Research in the workplace reveals that people work for many reasons. Money beside money. Money besides money. See, if you know here the collapsing word is beside. If you know what is the correct meaning of the word beside and besides. So because this is I told you, no, the error may be on words. This is the error on word. If you know the correct meaning of the preposition beside, it may be on the words of parts of speech. So beside is one of the parts of speech. What is it? It is a preposition. Okay. So what is the basic difference of beside and besides? Beside means by the side of. Besides means additional, in addition to. right? If you know this in your mind only, very easily in a fraction of second, you can just click the right answer and you go. But if you think if besides means what, beside means what, it also a preposition. So it because by the side of in addition to is a two extreme cases. You can't guess the meaning if you don't know the meaning at all. It is not just like that guessing. Okay, if you know the meaning just like that, you can click the right answer and go. So what is actually the sentence says, research in the workplace reveals that people work for many reasons besides money. So not only the money is a reason for doing working in a workplace, it besides money there are more any more reasons also. So that is a sentence actually says, in addition to, besides money, in addition to money. Okay, that is the right answer here. Okay, so like this, not only in grammar you will get the error, you can get the error even in the words, and the words may be the parts of speech. Is it clear? Now, what are the important grammar topic that you can memorize? You can learn the rules and exception cases. See, these are the major topics that have the grammar rules and the exception cases. Is of course, whatever topic you take, no, it will be having some kind of a grammar rules. But these are the most important four topics that I have taken for today's class, which will be definitely collapsing you, because if you take subject verb agreement, it has more than 25 grammar rules with exception cases. And if you take tenses, it is having 24 sentences, 24 different types of formulas in that. Okay. And if you take modal verbs, it has more than 12 rules and regulations. And if you take conditionals, it has more than 5 to 6 grammar set of rules. So these are the most important topic that you can deal with the grammar rules, and you have the exceptional cases too. Okay, so for today's class, we are going to see these four grammar rules in a very simple form, because this is not a new topic for you. Already you have studied this, but today we are just going to dust your grammar rules. Then I'm going to show you the sample question also. Okay. The first one is subject verb agreement. What is this subject verb agreement? Okay. The topic itself clearly says that there is an agreement between subject and verb. If the subject is in singular, the verb should be in singular. If the Okay, that is a rule that between the subject and the verb. Okay, how you can find it is singular and plural, and some of the subject will be having the exception cases. That is why subject verb agreement rule is very very difficult for you. Okay, so once you just take all the 25 rules and analyze, okay, because if this subject is coming, there will be exception cases. Okay, so for all, you know what is first person, second person, third person, right? If first person comes means what, it is a singular or plural. Understand which subject is singular, which subject is plural. Okay, so and if you just understand all these things, no, automatically you can understand the total things, right? So what is a subject verb agreement? Here you have some examples: I, you, they, we. So that these subjects are considered as plural noun. Okay, so I, you, they, we. Here, what is the exceptional case? I and you, it is of course a singular subject, but it is an exceptional case. It will accept only the plural verb. Okay, he, she, it. It is considered a singular noun, so you can use the singular verb. So this is not only this, and instead of this it, no, you can use any other word there, any other noun. It may be a singular and plural. Okay, accordingly you have to write the verb form. For example, you have the sentences here. He have two sisters. He has two sisters. Wrong, correct. See, there will be a lot of confusion. Some of the students asked me that why you have to see the subject and verb is having an agreement. You should not go for the second subject. Here, what is the second subject? Two sisters. Some students will argue that second subject is plural, so I have to use the plural. I have used the plural verb. It is not like that. Okay, so see, the first subject, it is singular means, so he, she, it will be accepting only the singular verb. Jacob and Sophie lives Los Angeles. Jacob and Sophie lives Los Angeles. Okay, actually live should come here. There is a mistake here. So okay, Why? See, if you add yes with verb, no, it means that it is a singular verb. If you are not adding yes with verb, no, it means it is a plural verb. Okay. So that is a thing that understand this clearly. So what is the correct answer here? Jacob and Sophie live Los Angeles. That is a correct sentence is here. Okay. This is a just one part of the subject verb agreement. This is just one part. Okay. What are the other main rules in subject verb agreement? So many people likes to go on vacation in the summer. Many people like to go on vacation in the summer. So which one is correct? Many people. Many people. People is actually of course a plural subject. So you should not add yes with the verb. If you are adding yes with verb, it means it is a singular verb. So here we have to use plural verb. So likes will not come like. Many people like to go on vacation in the summer. That is a correct sentence. See, if you take the word there, there, it is called introductory word. It is just an introductory word. By seeing the word there, you can't find out whether it is singular or plural. It is not neither singular or plural. It is just an introductory word. Then in that sentence, how you can use the verb correctly? Okay. See the next noun. See the next subject. Okay. If that next word is singular, use a singular. If the next word is plural, use the plural verb. Okay. There is 10 apples in the basket. Wrong. Because 10 apples is a plural subject. So you have to use plural verb. There are 10 apples in the basket. So R is the right sentence. And there are students that they'll be using they if there comes means always they'll be writing only the plural verb. They have, they are, there were. Okay. It is not like that. Learn the rule correctly. What is the actual rule? If it is an introductory word there, you can't find out whether it is singular or plural. So what you have to do, see the next subject. If that is singular, use singular. If that is plural, use plural. That is the actual rule. So know the rule, accordingly write the answer. Okay. So here you have the exercises. You will just see the exercises. This is a question we have taken from CS 2018. From where are they bringing their books? Dash. Bringing dash books from dash. So you have three dashes here. If you read the without dash only, you feel what sentence is not having a correct form. But if you fill the answer, no, it is actually very easy only. But these options will be collapsing you, as I told you here earlier. They'll be trying to collapse you by their options only. Okay. Always have the good analytical skill how you are going to omit the options. So you have four options there, they are there, they are there, there. Okay. So if you see the option, definitely it will be collapsing. Instead, what you can do, no, read the sentence once and twice. Definitely you will get the word. So if you see that words are there in the option, then that will be the right answer. So from where are they bringing their books? So question mark. The new sentence starts. Okay. So they are bringing their books from there. Okay. So this is a very good exercise, I think. Okay. So because still I can find some of the students will be having confusion between their THEIR and THERE. Okay. So still most of the students are having their confusion in these words. Okay. And this kind of exercise will be helping them. Okay, what is this? THERE is an introductory word which means there means somewhere else. Okay, THER, it is something a possessive thing that it speaks about ourselves. Okay, so understand the difference and use the correct form in the sentences. Next, we'll go to the tense. So tense, it is actually students will tense means it will be having so many formulas for formulas in the sense grammar rules, active voice. In active it comes like this, in passive it comes like this, because if you learn tense only, no, you can learn voice. So it is actually coincidence. Okay, so it's nothing but try to learn it because by using this tense only you can you can speak a good English, you can write a good English, okay, without having any confusion. Okay, if you know the grammar rule, no, you will be very confident in your spoken English, especially because you know the rule. Okay, I have to use only has been. In this case you will be fighting with your friend if anybody says wrong, if you know the correct rule. Okay, so you will be very fluent and confident in your spoken English, especially. So that is going to take you a long way in your career and in your academics. Okay, so tense, please don't omit tense. Tense is a very important topic in your academics and your career. Okay, you have a sentence here. I am working as a teacher. I work as a teacher. See, in spoken English, we are using these both sentences, but they are saying I work as a teacher is a correct. Why I should not use I am working? Actually, the sentence is in correct form. Grammatically, it is incorrect. I am. If I am comes, we can write verb in ing form. As a teacher, yes, of course, the sentence is right only. But why they are saying wrong? We'll see the rule. What is the rule? Use present simple tense to talk about permanent situations. Okay, for example, Sita lives in New Delhi. Okay, so what is that present simple present tense? Because the first sentence is in present continuous. So for speaking about the permanent situations, we have to use the simple present tense. For example, the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. We can even say this particular action in any kind of tense, but these things, no, universal facts, permanent situations, we have to use only in the simple present tense. That is a rule. Okay, so use present continuous tense for actions happening now. I am talking, he is eating now. So I am working as a teacher. It means that only now she is working at a teacher, not in the future and not in the past. So if you're speaking about the permanent, she is a teacher she was a teacher in the past and present and even in the future. She's not going to change his career, right? So in that case, you have to use only the present, simple present tense. That is, I work as a teacher. Okay. So if you know this simple rule, no, you can very easily, you will not have any confusion and you can very easily choose the correct answer, or you can spot the error and you can go off. You have the another sentence. Sandy is working here for 3 years. Sandy has been working here for 3 years. Okay, and this been is a very beautiful word. It is going to give you the actual particular thing, what is that particular action is taking. So Sandy is working here for 3 years, is working for 3 years, has been working here for 3 years. See, Sandy started his career in that particular company before 3 years, and now also he is working there. So it has been, let's see what is a rule. Use present perfect continuous tense to talk about actions started in the past and still continuous. So, if there is an action that started in the past and still continuing, in that cases, what you are going to do, you are going to use present perfect continuous tense. So, this is a rule. Okay. So, in that case, if any action has started in the past and still continuing, he has not quitted the job. Okay, still he is continuing the job in the same company. So in that case, you are not going to stop that, you are going to use present perfect. Okay, so perfect tense you can use has, have, had. If it is present tense you can use has and have. For singular you can use has, for plural you can use have. Sandy is a singular subject, so you are using has. And been means, so it is coming, since it is coming in a continuous form, you have to use been in the passive form. Okay, Sandy has been working here for 3 years. So that is a rule. So learn such kind of a simple rules and formulas. You have the another sentence here. I have graduated from college in 2014. I graduated from college in 2014. Why that sentence is wrong? Is if you see, no, grammatically the sentence is right only, but the tense says it is wrong. What is the rule? Use past, simple past tense if you mention the specific time for the finished action in the past. Okay, so that is you have another example so that you can understand it clearly. I have sent you an email yesterday. I have sent you an email. Okay, I have sent you an email yesterday. I have sent you an email yesterday. I have sent you, that is itself gives you a uh, past tense. Okay, then what again yesterday you have to put. Okay, so I have graduated from college, you have to use only simple past tense. I have graduated, so what tense it is? It is wrong. Okay, you have to use only simple past tense. I graduated from college in 2014. If you mention the specific time, okay, so in 2014 I graduated, that specific time, if you mention any specific time, you have to use only simple past tense. Okay, that is a rule. We'll see the example. That is one example. This is a question taken from CS 2017 gate question paper. After Rajendra Chola had returned from his voyage to Indonesia, he dashed to visit the temple in Tanjore. See, this is a very simple sentence. We have been using this particular sentence in the history and all. Okay, but if you see the option, definitely you will have a confusion whether he was wishing, he is wishing, he wished, had wished. Definitely, if you see the option, it will be confused. Okay, but you should be very clear, as we have seen this example. No, same rule we have taken and question. Okay, it some particular time, no, he is speaking about some particular specific time, so you have to use only what you have, what tense you have to use. You have to use simple past tense, that is he wished to visit the temple in Tanjore. Okay, so this is a general rule that you have in the tense. Next we'll go to the modal verbs. Okay, modal verbs. See, without this modal verb we can't speak, we can't frame sentences in our daily habitual actions. Definitely these modal verbs will be very useful for us in the habitual actions only. Okay, framing questions or making sentences, whatever it is, because modal verbs daily it is actually lives with us, right? So smoking is prohibited in this building, that means you don't have to smoke here. Smoking is prohibited in this building. That means you mustn't smoke here. You cannot smoke here. So the sentence is right. Why we should not use don't? When something is not allowed, we must use mustn't or cannot. Okay. So that is not at all allowed. See, if you're going into the cinema theater where the smoking is not allowed, means you should not smoke at all. That in that place, smoking is not allowed. Something which is banned. So in that case, that is a rule that either you can use mustn't or cannot. You should not use don't. You don't have to smoke here. It means the meaning is totally different. That means you don't have to smoke here. The meaning is totally different. But mustn't means நீ இங்க கண்டிப்பா smoke பண்ண கூடாது. Okay. So that is what the sentence says. Okay, something which is banned, you are not supposed to do at all. It is something which is banned at all. Okay, so only either you can use mustn't or cannot, which in some cases which is not allowed. Okay, so all modal verbs will be having such cases. You can understand that. Okay, we'll see one example. It is taken from Gate EE 2017 question on phrase. So Saturn is here. Saturn is nothing but that this one planet. So Saturn is dash to be seen on a clear night with the naked eye. So which one is a right answer? Here I have not given you the right answer in bold. You are going to choose a correct answer. It's nothing but questions on phrases. So before going into this particular question, we'll just finish the modal verb also. Why I've just given you only in one slide, because this modal verbs, we are using it in a daily actions, so it is very easy order. For example, what is the difference of can, okay, and could? The basic the basic difference of can and could is past tense. Could is past tense, can be used in the present tense. And what is the basic difference? Both can be used in the place of ability. I can do this. Okay, for showing the ability is the best thing for using can. And for example, can I speak to, if you're calling any unknown person, no, can I speak to Mr. Rajesh? Could I speak to Mr. Rajesh? Which is correct? Could I speak to Mr. Rajesh is the correct form, because could is a more polite form. Okay, comparatively can. Could is a more polite form. So if you're speaking to the unknown person, you should be very polite. He is not your friend. So could is the right answer in that case. So each and every modal verb will be having some kind of a rules like this. Okay. So what is the difference between will and would? Where we'll be using this will, we can use it for future cases, and we'll be using for surety, and would will be using for wish. Okay, may, might. So might is a more that is a less probability. We'll be using might. It may rain today, it might rain today. If you don't have any certain thing, no, you can use might. You don't know whether it is going to rain or not. In that cases you can use might, because might is a less probability case. Okay, so like this, each and everything, no, you have semi modal verbs also, used to, ought to. Okay, so and most of the students will be asking what is the basic difference of where I have to use should and must. What is the basic difference of should and must? Okay, so must you have to use, as we have seen here, something which is completely banned. You should not do that. Okay, and should can be used for instructions. If you do this, no, it is actually for recommendations also, you can use should. Okay, so actually model verb will be very interesting if you want start and learn. So start and learn and try to use in your daily habitual actions, so that you will not forget it. It will be a lifelong learning for you. Okay, so now again we'll go for this phrasal verb question. So Saturn is dash to be seen on a clear night with the naked eye. Enough bright, bright enough, as enough, bright as enough. So which is the correct phrasal verb you're going to choose? So I think Saturn is bright enough to be seen on a clear night with a naked eye. That is the right answer. Okay, now you have the another question on phrasal verbs. Nobody knows how the Indian cricket team is going to cope with. Okay, so cope with is nothing but handling with. I have given you what is the meaning of that particular phrasal verb also. Okay, cope with is nothing but handling with the difficult and the same are friendly wickets in Australia. Choose your option which is closest in meaning to the underlined phrase in the above sentence. Put up with means I have given you the meanings also. So put up with means to tolerate, put in with to discuss, put down to suppress, put up against to fight. Okay, so here the meaning is put down to, that is they just want to trying to suppress it. Okay, but in exam you will not have the meanings. Here I just want to make you clear, I have just given you the meanings here, but in exam you will not have meanings. That is why phrasal verb, no, it will, if you take verb put, put when, put up, put down, okay, you will be having so different meanings. See, put up means tolerate, put in means discuss, put down means suppress. Okay, so like this you will be having, and even two to three prepositions will be combined with the verb. That is also phrasal verb, that will have different meaning. Okay, so it is actually a tough area, but once you go into that and you just at least try to memorize some of the phrasal verbs, no, by keeping that in your mind you can at least guess the meaning and you can clear the any kind of a competitive exam. So here the right answer is put down to suppress. Okay, next question. Find the odd one. So this is also another kind of a question that you will get in English competitive exam. Just like that, it may be a very childish one. Okay, from our kindergarten, we are getting this question paper like finding odd man out. But in competitive exam, it will be very serious. They'll be asking questions on words or sentences or any analytical, just like that analogy questions also they can ask as a odd man out. Okay, find odd one in the following group of words. So you have four words, and which one is odd? For this, definitely, if you have the high knowledge of vocabulary only, you can find out the knowledge. See the easy words I can say, no, mock and praise, the easy words. But I feel that students will feel very difficult as they don't know the meaning of deride and jeer. Okay, so in if they don't know the meaning between two, no, definitely it is going to be the tough question. Okay, but what is the answer here? Praise, mock, deride, jeer. Three words go in one line. All means mocking somebody only. But praising is totally different. That is the antonym of that. These all synonyms. remains same meaning. Praise is something praising somebody. This is which is opposite of these three words. So that is the odd man out here. So praise is the correct answer. So if you are not having vocabulary knowledge, no, even see this is a very, very simple word, but since we are not using in our daily language, we feel very difficult of these words. Okay. Okay. At last, we have come to the conclusions. Lose your set of baggage regarding grammar and try to learn grammar with language. So I think I started this class by saying that just have the baggages. What are the baggages that students have? No, English language. Oh my God, it is very boring. It is actually tough. If we remember, if we learn it, master it, also we can't remember it at the time of exam. We'll forget it. Definitely, it is going to collapses. It is not like that. Or take all their baggages, and once you learn the grammar rules, definitely it is going to help you a lifelong way. Okay, you can very confidently you can speak, you can write, and you can appear for any kind of a competitive exam. Okay, so prepare yourself in the area of vocabulary, grammar rules, and reading skills. See, I have to speak about this reading skill at the end of the class, because if you want to prepare yourself for any kind of the competitive exam, so vocabulary knowledge is very important, and you have to find spot the errors in the sentence. For that, grammar rules are going to be very helpful for you. And reading skills is, of course, see, reading skills, definitely any kind of a competitive exam, you will get very small paragraph or a lengthy paragraph. They are going to give you very less time for reading the paragraph. After reading, you have to read the questions, and the questions may be what is the tone of the author, what the author says in the paragraph. Everything will can be asked. So if you have the reading skill, so what is a reading skill? You have to read fast, and you try to interpret that, and you have to comprehend that. Okay, so yeah, whatever you read, no, you have to understand and you have to comprehend it. That is a skill that you have. So in overnight you will not get that skill. You must develop that skill. Okay, so how you can develop that skill? By reading it, by reading daily. Read some magazines, whichever makes you interest, you can take them, you can read it. Okay, so these are the three important things. If you are mastered yourself, you can appear very confidently for the any kind of the competitive exam. Okay, so these are the things that I have to say. Okay, so thank you very much for very patience, being patient for listening to me. I'll just revise once again. Okay, so today's topic is actually grammar. So grammar is nothing but a set of rules that have in a language. Okay, first learn the language, automatically you can learn the grammar. So don't have any baggage that grammar is boring and very tough. It is actually very easy comparatively any other languages. So try to learn the grammar with some of the logic. What is the purpose you're going to learn the grammar? It is going to be the lifelong learning, and it is going to be very very helpful for your competitive exam. Okay, and you are going to get error in the sentence or in the words. Okay, and you have some, we have seen some questions, and these are the four major topics that you are going to remember: the set of grammar rules with exceptional cases. Okay, subject verb agreement, tense, modal verbs, and conditions. Okay, all these things you have learned earlier, but just to dust your knowledge. Okay, and at last what you're going to do, you're going to develop your vocabulary knowledge and your set of grammar rules and your reading skills too, where you can appear for the exam very confidently. Okay, thank you students. I think this class will be very helpful for you for preparing yourself for your competitive exam. So I can say that this will be very helpful for you for preparing for your competitive exam. Okay, so all the best for your career, all the best for your competitive exam. Prepare yourself, do well. Thank you.